Welcome back to the Lynn Miller Room. In this edition of the Eagle Sports Coaches Show, football coach Rob Tenyer has joined us now. And, Coach, talking before we went on, 1 month, 2 days, you've been on the job. Getting any easier now?
I thought it was until this morning. I barely made it over here on time. Had a few visitors in the office, had a few players stop in, and of course class started yesterday, so we're trying to work on some class conflicts and schedules and lifting times, and of course half the team stopped in regarding number changes, jersey number changes, and so we got a lot of that taken care of, and it's going pretty good.
Yeah, hitting the ground running now with the boys back in town. Had a kind of not a lot of kids on campus as the finals were going on when you were hired. Now they're all getting back. And I guess as a head coach in a non-scholarship program, you know who has come back and who you can actually start preparing for spring practice.
Exactly. As we mentioned the last show, we had when I was hired, we had a very brief team meeting. Had some individual meetings with almost 70 players. And yesterday was first day of class, so we had our first team meeting last night, and had a few surprises of guys not returning. But we did have a few surprises on the other side of the fence, some guys that we're not sure if they were coming back, and they chose to do that, so we're excited about that. And I think our number is around 76 or 77. So from a retention standpoint, regarding the transition we just went through, we're pretty excited about that.
Yeah, and it's always a key, especially in non-scholarship programs, the fact that who's not coming back. That way you know when you're out in January and February to recruit, you can recruit that position a little bit better, because it's not like once they sign a scholarship that they're going to be there 4 to 5 years.
Right. Well, I think our current players are excited about the transition. They know, they hear it in my voice, they see it in my eyes. We're excited about the process and what lies ahead. And I think that for us, the important aspect is exactly what you mentioned. Now I have to update the depth chart on both sides of the football, and that really determines how many guys we recruit, what our needs will be for our recruiting class, and so that starts to mold the foundation of our approach for the next 3-4 weeks for recruiting.
How is it with the adjustment after just dealing with maybe one part? You were conditioning coach, then you were offensive coordinator. Now it's the whole caboodle, as I say. It's everything now. Is that a little different for you?
It is, but it's been really helpful in respect that all the guys are on the road right now. All of my assistants are on the road, and so I'm in the office, and I'm handling all those areas right now. And so that's important, and it makes for the transition, made the transition for me much easier.
Well, let's talk about your staff. In a month and 2 days, you've put together a great staff. I really think you've got some quality people on the staff, which I think was important to you, not only football coaches, but quality people.
Yes, sir. And I think we have a championship staff. And we'll start on the offense side of the ball, talk a little bit about our offense coordinator, Clegg Mullins. Craig and I, as mentioned before, grew up in the same coaching circles, and we've been talking football, clinic and football for a lot of years together, have a lot of respect for one another, and I think Clegg Mullins is an extremely impressive person, number one. Great character. He's a family man. And he is an outstanding quarterback coach. And I'm excited about him working with our offense. And I don't know if a lot of people know this, but he's going to run our offense. We're going to run what we've run here the last few years, but he's going to handle the play calling duties, and that's going to be his baby.
So how did you approach him to come to Morehead State?
He was the very first guy on my short list for the offensive coordinator position. And, he's done some great things at Georgetown College. He had he was part of some great teams there. He won 2 national championships there. And I think he's excited. I think the reason he chose to come to Morehead State is he believed in my mission, my vision of our program. He believes we have the personnel to win here. And I think he's excited about a new challenge. And his family was sold on the family type atmosphere we're going to have. He's got 2 sons that love football, and they're excited to be around it. And so for him, I think it was just a good time to make a change, and he's extremely excited about it.
All right, let's go to your defensive coordinator, and going to coach linebackers as well, and Phil Burnett.
Phil and I, we go way back. It was back when I was a graduate assistant coach at California University of Pennsylvania. I call Phil's nickname's Bernie, so I'll call him Bernie a lot. But
that's okay.
We actually were roommates at the time, and Phil was a mentor of mine. He was the defensive line coach, recruiting coordinator, and he dealt with some special teams at the time. So we developed a good relationship, bond at that time. And Phil has been around some great football coaches. He's coached at the very highest level. He coached in 2 bowl games. He's coached 3 team MVPs. And he came up through the ranks around who I consider one of the best D-line coaches in the country, in Brady Hoke. He GA'd for Brady, Oregon State, and he spent 7 or 8 years at Ball State with Brady.
Of course, Brady now the head coach at the University of Michigan.
University of Michigan, yes, sir. And but Phil has been around the block. He's been a part of a lot of good defenses. He's been a part of a lot of different schematic defenses, and he's someone I'm going to be able to lean on in a lot of areas. And he's that funny guy. He's that guy with a great sense of humor, and tremendous with the young kids. And I think they'll really take to him pretty quick.
Well, you got your offensive coordinator, you got your defensive coordinator, and now we bring in someone with some local ties, Dante Wright, the fact that played at Lawrence County, and he's also put together as a young coach a mighty fine resume already.
Yes, and just to go back real quick, with Clegg and Phil, Clegg has Kentucky ties. He recruited the entire state of Kentucky over the years, being at Georgetown. And Phil, our defense coordinator, he actually has family ties in Barberville and Lexington. And yes, that was important. When I hired or when I interviewed Dante, he showed me immediately the connection he had with Morehead State and Eastern Kentucky, and family was important to him, and he really looked forward to the opportunity to get back to Eastern Kentucky, and he's going to do a great job, and he's going to be our recruiting coordinator, and he has really taken that and ran with it, has done a tremendous job, and gotten our coaches in the proper areas in the state, and our outside areas like Ohio and Indiana and a little bit in Georgia. And he was my first hire. And he was so impressive in his interview early on that I called him back immediately and offered him position. Typically that don't happen, with coordinators and things like that. But I thought that he had a lot of upside, and he's a tremendous person, and I knew he was going to be a good fit no matter what role we put him in.
Now, we'll wait to the last one I'll get to. But Coach Rude is staying on the staff. So tell us a little bit about him.
And just an impressive young coach. He's wore a lot of hats during his 2 years here, and he was very loyal to me in our program. And he is very hungry to be a good football coach. He loves to go out in clinic and talk football, and he's starting to really be involved in the recruiting part of it. He enjoys the process, and I felt like he would be very helpful in the transition, and he has. He's helped me in a lot of different areas, and so he is going to be a tremendous asset to our program moving forward.
Rob Tenyer is our guest, discussing the staff here at Morehead State 1 month and 2 days after the hiring. Also, a young man coming back to the staff, Patrick St. Louis.
Well, I go back to Patrick's first stint here as a graduate assistant. He was here for 2 seasons, and then he was elevated to a full-time position as our offensive line coach. And to say that, to go from a graduate assistant to a full-time on a Division I level, that tells you a little bit about that young man. And I really did not want Patrick to leave. It was a situation that he made a decision. He was going to be married within the next 6 months at that time. And he did what was best for him and his family. And I'm very fortunate to have him back. We're very fortunate to have him back. Our players are excited. The offensive line are excited to have him back. And Patrick's another guy that when he was here as a graduate assistant, he wore a lot of different hats. And he helped in a lot of different phases in our program. And he's an impressive young man. He's a great person with great character. And he's someone I can lean on, a young coach that I can lean on and help in a lot of different areas. So.
And, of course, I guess you got some big news with one of your tweets after you were putting your staff together. You got a chance to hire a young man who wants to get into coaching, Andre Woodson, and that is a great situation because, you're talking about a young man who was in the Heisman Trophy hunt early on when he played at the University of Kentucky and had an outstanding career for UK.
He did, and he's a big name guy in the state of Kentucky. He played high school football here, had a great career at Kentucky. Graduated as probably one of the all-time best quarterbacks from the University of Kentucky football. And had an opportunity to play in the National Football League for 3 years. And he'll tell you he's a little bit of an Army brat, so he moved around a little bit and landed here in Kentucky. And when he was through with his experience in the NFL, he moved back to Lexington to finish his degree and spent some time on the staff at Kentucky in a variety of roles. And was a graduate assistant and worked in three different positions on the offensive side of the football. And he was a really impressive interview as well for us. He later found out that he called about 85% of his own plays his senior year. And he was really impressive. He's very knowledgeable in the game of football. He can coach about 4 or 5 different positions. And for us, he's going to coach the inside and outside receivers. And we're excited about him. I'll tell you a good story. My wife, when I called her and told her that Andre had accepted the position, she got on Twitter, and she texted me and said, Andre's got 7,000 followers on Twitter. I said, yeah, that's quite a bit. So
now hopefully all those are connected with MSU football as well. So that would be getting the numbers up pretty big.
Yes, sir.
Who do you have left to fill? What do you have left to fill on the staff? Because we've covered the variety of stuff.
We have one more full-time position on defense, our defensive secondary coach and special teams coordinator. And that gentleman's name is Rod West. He is departing from Texas Friday morning. We'll be here in Moorhead on Friday evening, about a 14-hour drive. So. Just talked to him last night on the phone. We're excited about having him. He has some Kentucky ties as well. He's from Alabama, and just a great technician, impressive young coach, very organized, detail-oriented, and that's important as we move forward with our special teams. And he's going to do a great job with that. We also have hired 3 office interns, former players of ours. Zach Lewis, our former quarterback, who was a tremendous player and probably a first ballot Hall of Fame player here at Moorhead State, is going to be our recruiting intern, going to assist Coach Wright in that area. And Joey Clegg, was a 3-year starter at center for us. He is going to be our DFO intern and work with some operations. And we just hired Drew Miller yesterday for office intern regarding video. And Drew, his career was cut short by injuries, but he wants to be involved with the game, and so we're extremely pleased to have those 3 guys back with the program and going to help us out tremendously.
You've hit the ground running, and the fact that I like the buzz around the town and wherever you go, they're talking football. Here it is January, and that's, I guess you love the fact that, everybody that's come up to you, it's been pretty nice, going that people really are enthused about Morehead State football.
Well, I think anybody's excited about change, and it has been extremely overwhelming. The support has been great, and the first week, or the first month and 2 days on the job has been spectacular. The support on campus, I'd like to say thank you to all those folks and the people in the community that I have run into have been very supportive. And I'm excited about the future here. We're going to try and do it right. We're going to be a viable asset not only to the campus community, but throughout our community. And we're going to do it the right way. We're going to do it the right way, and we're excited. We're extremely excited.
The Eagle way, the right way.
The right way.
Coming up, spring practice dates set yet, or are you still looking at that?
I believe the third week of March is spring break. We'll come back the last week of March. We'll lift and test with Coach Williamson. And then as we enter the first week of April, not sure what date that will be, but we're going to practice on Tuesday, Thursdays, Friday, and Saturdays throughout the month of April. And it'll give us a 2-week buffer there heading into final exams.
Of course, you can, when they set the spring game, you can always go to msueagles.com and find out. Coach, you put together a great staff. We appreciate having you back. Hopefully we can have you back before spring ball.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Rob Tenyer, football coach here at Morehead State University. We'll come back with more. This is the Eagles Sports Coaches Show.